So just a side note, I was at that store Big Lots tonight
Hmm.
because they have like some good clearance deals. I got a 6 foot artificial Christmas tree for $40,
Oh, nice.
and I put it up. It looks like the Charlie Brown tree.
Two. That was a nice move by Pipkins, taking it right to the rack himself. Wide open three, left wing. That was a nice move by Pipkins, taking it right to the rack himself. Wide open three, left wing, and it's good. Nylon, the dunk likes that, Matt. A three from the right side, and it's good. The one, Pipkins, the man, yet again.
Hello and welcome to the Flex. I'm Matt St. Jean.
And this is Joe Howie.
We're here for another pregame episode. Friars heading down to Texas, taking that flight down there to take on the Horned Frogs of TCU. TCU comes into this one at 4-1, ranked 60th in the KenPom rankings. Providence is at 3-2 and 68th. Pretty even matchup. First road game for the Friars. Heading down south. Let's run through everything you need to know. We'll start with the starting five. Joe, what does this Providence offense need to do to get into gear?
They need to stop missing 3-pointers. Now, I get it. They're a young team. Providence isn't historically known for shooting 3-pointers very well. Ed Cooley said in the post-game presser after, I think it was the Fairleigh Dickinson game, that this team on offense thinks that they are the same team from last March. He said specifically AJ and Greg Gant think they are, the way they play on offense, but they need to realize that this is not the same team. This team does not have the same scoring capacity as last season's team. I mean, if you want to talk about their offense and what's working, what's not working, 3-pointers are definitely not working. But there is a very large bright spot to the offense, and it's smack in the middle of the paint in Nate Watson. I think you just need to keep feeding him. And if he gets double or triple teamed, he's got to learn to kick it out, because then when you have a wide open person in the corner or on the wing, that's when you take a three, not when you're rushing or when it's late in the shot clock. So just a stat to close this point off. Providence currently sits at 293rd out of 301 teams that have played in 3-point shooting. I think that just about sums up where we're at in terms of stroking it from beyond the arc.
Open or not, the Friars really have not been able to hit anything from outside the arc so far this season. It's something that has to turn around to be a winning team this year. Move down to number 2 in the starting five. This is a defense that has struggled at times for the Friars, gave up 88 points to Alabama and 79 to Indiana. What do they need to do differently to lower those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, this again is a team that is historically known for playing solid defense. I think last season we were first or second in the Big East for points allowed. It was around 60. I think Butler was 62, if I'm remembering that correctly. Now we already were at 70 points a game that we let up. This is not the same defensive team that we've seen in years past. It is not reminiscent of Ed Cooley's program. It is not indicative of the team and the players that we have. They just need to step it up. I think what's happening, and this is just, a rough assumption, is that offense isn't exactly clicking on all cylinders, and it's resulting in poor defense. And it really shouldn't be that way. These guys, they need to, find the mental maturity to realize that strong defense will translate to stronger offense. And I think we saw glimpses of that in the second half against Fairleigh Dickinson. We poked our hands in there. We got the ball out and got a couple of steals that, led to some fast break opportunities and some quick buckets for the Friars. I think when we try to play flashy on offense and it doesn't work, we get a little frustrated and guys aren't rushing back on defense. You'll notice in the first possession against Fairleigh Dickinson, no one got back in transition defense, and Cooley subbed out the entire starting five. So I think if you want to play better defense, it starts with mentality. You got to go into it with the mentality, we're going to defend and the offense will come later.
Now let's take a look ahead at this TCU team and how the Friars have to defend them. They got a couple of guys who can really, really create some issues for Providence. Give us the scouting report here, Joe.
Yeah, so we'll start at the one with RJ Nemhart. I think I said that right. I don't know. I don't have their media guide. So, but, essentially the ball goes through him. He's their point guard. He's their he plays the 3 too, which is weird. He plays like a 1-3 split, but
He's a 6'5" guard. If you want the comparison, he's a lot like David Duke in that he does a lot of different things, but the ball goes through him.
yeah. So that's basically think David Duke in a TCU uniform, averages 15 a game and 3 assists. I mean, he's David Duke for them. I mean, there's no better way to put it. He's the combo guard that you love to have, you hate to play against. And if the ball goes through him, he's their offense starter, he's their ringleader, their floor general, whatever you want to call it. He's the guy you got to lock up on defense when it comes to the backcourt, excuse me. And now we'll shift into the front court with Kevin Samuel, the 6'11" center, averaging just under 12 rebounds a game. He is going to be he's going to be a matchup for Nate, because Nate's 6'10". He's not the best rebounder on the team, but he's a scoring threat in the paint. Kevin Samuel hasn't beaten size. Hopefully Nate hasn't beaten strength. This is a matchup to look out for. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these guys, bang around in the paint. I think Kevin Samuel has the rebound advantage. Nate definitely has the scoring advantage here. So on offense, Nate is going to have a struggle, and on defense, Samuel is going to have a struggle. It's going to be fun to watch.
That name Nembhard should be familiar to you Friars fans. RJ's brother actually played for Florida last year, had 7 assists in that game in Brooklyn. He's now out at Gonzaga. And coming back to Kevin Samuel, 11.8 rebounds per game. Friars don't have anybody above 5.8 rebounds per game. So yes, Joe, that is going to be a huge part of this. And let's talk about what type of game this is going to be. We hit number 4 in the starting 5. Which is going to be more important? The guard play, like RJ Nembhard against David Duke, or the battle in the paint, Samuel against Watson? Which one do you think is going to define this game?
So I really like this point in this discussion, because it's almost twofold. But I think if you're Providence, your big play is going to win you the game. It's no secret that our guards, with the exception of Duke, have been crippled on the scoring end, whereas Nate has been a waterfall of points. So I think for us, we need to focus on play in the paint. David Duke will do his thing. He'll get his own shots. He'll create opportunities for himself. Nate Watson doesn't create opportunities for himself. He is a center. He doesn't bring the ball up. So you have to get the ball in his hands and get him going in the paint. If I was Ed Cooley, I would be scouting for the paint right now. I would be drawing up every play in the world for Nate, Noah, Jimmy, Greg, all our bigs. They need to be ready to go, because right now our guards, with the exception of Duke, who again is an exception in every sense of the word, getting it done for himself. For Providence, you need to go big. For TCU, you need to go small, because if our guards are suffering, take advantage. I mean, it's as simple as that.
I think you're absolutely right. I do think that this guard play for the Friars is going to be very important, but when Providence has been successful, they third and fourth opportunities. Can't do that if you don't win in the paint. And when you have a black hole like Kevin Samuel, who's just going to suck that rebound right in at either end of the floor, you got to find a way to combat that and either hit your shots or get those second chance opportunities. And we're going to head down to number 5 in our starting lineup. We're going to end this on a fun note for everybody. Joe, think we're finally going to see those throwback uniforms pop up again for the Friars?
Oh God, I hope so. For anyone listening that doesn't know what we're referring to right now, it is the solid black with the white trim throwback uniforms inspired by the 1980s, with the shorter cut, same solid black white trim shorts with the old-fashioned Friar logo in the corner. They were the freshest and cleanest uniforms this team has unveiled in a long time. And not to mention, we were red hot when we wore them. We went 5-1, only losing to Xavier on the road in these uniforms, and that was a close game too. It was no blowout. We beat Marquette by 1 at Marquette. We beat DePaul by 1 at DePaul. We won at Butler. We won by 10 at Georgetown, and I'll be damned, we beat Villanova in such stylish fashion at Villanova wearing these. That was the last time we wore the road black. I guess you can call them alternates,
Mhm.
but we were poised to wear them at the Big East tournament before it got canceled. And since we were I think it was 4 seed, if we
Mhm.
were to play any of the top 3 seeds in the championship, those uniforms were going to be center floor, Madison Square Garden, Saturday night. I hope we bring them out, but it seems like it's only a Big East thing. Matt, what do you think?
Oh man, I'm hoping. I'm not gonna lie. I tweeted at the team. I tagged the athletics. I tagged the basketball account. I tagged Ed Cooley. I said, let's get these uniforms ready for this game because they've been such a good luck charm. Friars need a little bit of that magic, and they seem to give a touch of that magic last season when everything went well. That can never hurt. But like you said, this may just be a Big East thing. Let's head off the bench, and I'm gonna pick us up right where we left off with that point about getting hot last year. Everybody remembers the run at the end of Big East play. Everybody remembers the loss to Florida. What came after the loss to Florida was that home win over Texas. This is the third straight year now where the Friars have played a Texas team right before conference play, and last year that game is what turned a bad Providence team into a good one. That's what got things going. Friars have an opportunity to do that against TCU, get that out of conference win, and get things going in the right direction. Joe?
When you say bad, that is very, very generous. We were much more than bad last non-conference. Um, but my point is similar. The last time Providence actually traveled to Texas was 2 seasons ago when we ended our non-conference schedule playing Texas. So it's actually very funny. This will be our 3rd straight season ending non-conference play against a team from Texas. It would have almost been our 4th if had we played Houston in the 2017-2018 non-conference schedule last, but we played Houston, then Sacred Heart. But again, this is a weird coincidence. And also, I just thought of this on the fly now. After we played the Texas game, we played Georgetown, then we traveled to DePaul last season, and that's when we broke out the throwback uniforms. So
Mm-hmm.
all in, let's say, weekend span, on sickest jerseys that we've ever worn. Maybe if Ed Cooley's thinking, let's bring these jerseys out, maybe it'll bring the same magic that we saw last year. And I really hope he brings them out because now I'm getting excited.
Honestly, I think we should wear them for every single game, even at home. Wear them at home. If Marquette comes, they can wear yellow at Providence. Creighton comes, they can wear their light blue at Providence. We're wearing black every game. Let's just own it.
I'm fine with
Joe,
that.
let's get a little bit into the X's and O's for just a second, and can you tell me who your X factor is for the Friars?
Nate Watson. I had to say it like that. No, yeah, I mean, I touched on this in the starting 5. I think Nate is going to be the key to the game for us. He has scored in double digits each time out. He has been the one consistency, the one bright spot, of course, next to David Duke. But I think it's his season. I think what better way to cap off your final non-conference run than with a win in Texas? Nate's big. Texas is a big state. I think this is a huge matchup for him against Samuel. It should be a fun game to watch Nate play, and the way he's been playing, I think the matchup favors him because he's been breaking double teams. He's been playing very physical, just muscling his way, imposing his will. I think Nate's the X factor here.
He will certainly play a pivotal role. I'm going to go up the lineup a little bit to one Greg Gant. Played maybe his best game as a Friar last time out. I look for him to build on that. One thing to look at for TCU, Chuck O'Bannon, who had been in their starting lineup, I believe is going to be missing this game with an injury. We don't know yet. But because of that, last time out against Oklahoma, TCU had to roll out a slightly smaller lineup, and they lost that game. So if they roll out a smaller lineup, then Greg Gant's going to have a real good chance on the boards, and we've seen AJ Reeves struggle from outside the arc. Greg Gant has been a pretty decent three-point shooter. And if you're looking for a guy who can score there for the Friars, he might be the stroke that they need to start hitting those shots. Let's take a look
Man,
at
I
the
hope
starting.
so.
Yeah, oh, that would be fantastic.
I hope
Starting
so.
lineup time. We run through. Do you think there's going to be just at the starting lineups at this point? Is Ed messing around with it at all, or is he keeping it the same?
He's going to keep it. I mean, we can articulate and speculate all we want. He will not change it unless something drastic happens. The only thing that I will note is, given the way Jimmy Nichols played defensively last game, and given the fact that AJ Reeves only played 12 minutes, the only change, and this is maybe like a 3% chance that this happens, is that you're going to bump Greg up to the 3 and play Jimmy Nichols at the 4. That is, and take AJ out. That's the only change that I could possibly fathom happening. But realistically, Ed's going to keep it the same. He doesn't want to crush anyone's confidence.
It's
But again,
too early to be making big changes.
yeah, but again, that's just going to change the rotations. I mean, if AJ starts, he might not get more than 15, 20 minutes a game, whereas Nichols, Breed, Horkler off the bench might get more time. We might even see Bynum take a seat. I don't know. I think the rotation is going to change.
I agree. I'm going to go with a little bit of a different prediction here. I mean, I think he does keep the lineup the same. But if there's a guy who I'm going to see come in and play more, it's going to be Alan Breed. He had 9 points against Alabama, 8 against Fairleigh Dickinson. He started to figure it out a little bit as a freshman, and I don't think he's going to start. But if Reeves struggles, I wouldn't be surprised to see Breed come in maybe at the 2 and you slide Duke down in the lineup. Or if Jared Bynum struggles again, the Breed-Duke show at the 1 and the 2 worked pretty well last time out. I would not be surprised to see Ed Cooley lean heavily on that. Joe, give me your score prediction. How do the Friars end up doing?
I'm going to stay positive here. I think the Friars are going to win. I think actually, ironically, our post offense is going to prevail here. I say we win by 8. 78-70 is my score prediction. I don't think our defense is going to hold them to under 65 points. I think 70, that's where we're averaging. I think that's about what we'll give up, and we'll score just about 78.
All right. I'm going to go a little bit lower scoring, but we're keeping the optimism. I'm going to take the Friars 64-60. I think from what we've seen, these are two teams that like to play to the level of their opponent. And usually when those kinds of teams meet, you end up getting a low-scoring, grinded-out defensive battle. I think that plays in the favor of the Friars. I think Ed Cooley's really good at getting his teams to play well in those types of games. And a grinded-out road victory over a Power 5 team, that's what the Friars need to get going. So that's what we're going with. Providence 64-60. Friars will take on TCU at 5 o'clock. Last non-conference game. And would we say this is a must-win, Joe?
Yes. I think it is, yeah.
I mean, honestly, at this point, we could rename the show Must Win, because that's what the Friars seem to make us. They seem to put themselves in that position quite a bit.
I think, just a quick note, it's a must-win for 2 reasons. You don't want to go into conference play at just 500. You want to be just above. And also, you need a little momentum before you host Xavier at home.
And this is one of those games that looks good on their resume, and there's a chance it's Providence and TCU both on the bubble together come March. You want to have that edge over them. For Joe Howie, I'm Matt St. Jean. Thank you for listening. Make sure you follow us wherever you're listening to this, and give us a follow on Twitter as well. And as always, Joe,
Go Friars. I really wish the games were a little later than 5, but go Friars.